It's time for Q&A in the Kitchen. It's a podcast and YouTube series where tattoo artists and piercers sit down and answer some of the more common questions that those that collect tattoos and piercings may have. Brought to you in part by the fabulous Skin Kitchen Tattoo and
it's pretty great.
Axiom Body Piercing.
We rock.
Today, usual crew, the full crew, the motley crew, the wrecking crew, the other, I don't know what crew. Anyway, starting over here with Jimmy St. John.
What's up, guys?
Tattoo artist at Skin Kitchen Tattoo. Next to me is Jack Lowe, Captain Jack, for those that know him. Tattoo artist and owner of the Skin Kitchen Tattoo. I'm DaVo, professional body piercer, owner-operator of the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. And then there is Brent Starr,
Hiya.
tattoo artist of the Skin Kitchen. Today we're going to do some more, we had a question from one of our viewers, and I'll let Jess read that off for you.
I'm going with Amelie.
Amelie?
Amelie Morris.
Okay, it's either Amelie or Emily. We're not quite
Miss
sure.
Morris.
We don't know.
It's got
Miss
an
Morris.
interesting
Miss Morris.
spelling.
Hello. I was wondering if you could talk about tattooing someone with scars. If there are any differences, thank you and love the channel.
Well, there's
Thank
some
you for
differences.
watching.
Depends on what kind of scarring you have. Some mild scars you can tattoo over fairly easy. If it's like a really keloided or thick scarring, you got to be careful because it can dissipate as you go over it and spread. You don't really have a lot of control of how it's going to react. You want to make sure the scar tissue is older. You don't want to tattoo fresh scar tissue. Give it time to do its thing.
Yeah, there's several different types, and they all kind of react a little differently. So there's kind of two things you're fighting is the texture of the skin. It raises up. Some scars can raise up, and there's not a lot we can do about the 3D, but and some are kind of flat like a stretch mark scar, and they're flat, but it changes the composition of the skin.
Yeah.
So there's burns. Burns are probably what I would consider the worst and the hardest to tattoo over. It just seems that fire discombobulates the skin so much. It just it really messes up the skin.
Heavy acne scarring, like on backs and stuff, are severe. I've run into that.
That's
before.
rough too. Yeah,
it's a lot like the burn.
So, but overall, it kind of depends on how long it's been there and how long your body has had to try to reconstruct that skin that was there and get everything working as well or as close to well as it did before you made a big mistake.
Yeah,
and you did,
or something happened. Yeah.
It's you only have you to blame. Anyway, so yeah, really the only way you can tell is just by, it's kind of an educated guess from tattooing a bunch of scars and seeing what happens over your career and stuff, because they're all going to behave a little different, and there's no one that can really guarantee how it's going to heal. But kind of a couple just key, like obvious things you can look at to, before you go and talk to someone is the shiny scale. If the scar still has kind of this sheen or shiny look to the top of the, the top layer is kind of a shine to it. Typically, when you go in to tattoo that skin just isn't robust enough to handle. It's not thick enough. It doesn't have the
elasticity.
Yeah, it's not ready to be putting itself back together.
And that's partly how your body repairs it, because piercing is basically a scar. It does that initial seal up to, the initial cover.
Keep you from leaking.
To keep you from leaking and keep things from coming in.
Yeah.
Then it will mature the scar by producing additional tissue on there and thickening that tissue up.
Right.
And usually the scars are more sensitive in that initial, during that maturing period. That's when they're more ticklish or more
hypersensitive.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that can depend on the scar as well. An incision or a surgery type. I wrecked my motorcycle, my bone was sticking on my arm type scar, can cause numbness, and it takes years and years for your nerve endings to kind of get back to where they were. And sometimes you'll always have a numb spot. Other times it can make it super hypersensitive. Because it's rewired that area of skin, and for some reason your body decided, whoa, you need to know what's going on here at all frickin' times, no matter what. And so, yeah, sometimes you'll tattoo a scar and they'll be like, man, I can't even feel it on the scar. And other times you're like, oh my God. So, and that, that depends on how long it's been there, what type of scar it is. Is it a puncture scar? Is it where did you have a bad childhood and you sliced yourself up a little bit, or whatever it is. So it's really just, kind of.
It really depends on what tissue type it is.
And that, because that before the scars there determines some things. Where it is on your body kind of determines some things. So, there's a lot of factors that are going to nudge it one way or the other. So it really comes down to what you want, what type of tattoo you want. Is it just one big eyeball and you just want the eyeball big enough to cover the scar, but you want it realistic? Okay, yeah, on this, that's not a big deal. You got some barely, I can see kind of some discolored, maybe you had some stitches there and you want to knock it out, no big deal. But if you got knifed in 3rd grade because you got caught selling bad crack during lunch,
it's bad.
then probably that's not the best idea,
Right.
So
Brent had a good one.
But if, so think about how long you've had that scar and what type of scar it is. If it's a burn and it's a pretty bad burn to where, you've got the Freddy Krueger swirly shit going on, you may not ever really be able to fully successfully tattoo that area. That doesn't mean that you can't have tattoos there. You just want to kind of work with the scar by, using the texture of it, or, sometimes there's kind of a movement or flow to that scar, and distracting the eye with the focal point over here and using some water and rough water, choppy water. So if you don't have a good heel, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
It just adds to the effect.
Yeah.
So it's overall, yes, you can tattoo scars. Given enough time and given the proper type of tattoo and everything else, you can. But the only way to really know is to go talk to an artist.
Brent had a really good one he did a while back. The lady with the cat, the
I have
floral.
it up here.
Let's look at some photos.
It was like self-cutting, and she got it covered up.
Right.
It was pretty extensive.
Yeah. She really was unhappy.
It was,
So that was the arm prior to.
Yeah.
And then
And she had picked a reference picture that was very close to the end product that I noticed in the picture that it had a lot of general flow in the same direction as the scar tissue.
Yeah.
So we kind of went with that one and tried to just kind of balance that little bit of.
Is she the same one that had the with the cat and stuff on the lower part of the forearm?
No,
was that a different lady?
That was up here.
Oh, was it up top? Okay.
I have a question for you guys, though. Do you kind of approach it in the same way you would a cover-up?
In a certain way, yes.
Yeah.
Depending on what the end goal is.
Because you have to work with what's there.
That's a good question, because, with a cover-up, you don't want to put the focal point or the lightest part of the tattoo right on that. Yeah. There's the same way with the scar. And, you kind of have to be, you have to have some strategy to it because, like I said, if there's, bump, if it's raised up, if it's keloid at all or whatever, then, and you can play with that, like, oh, fuck, we'll put a rock right there, man. It'll look 3D. It's in the foreground anyway.
Yep.
It depends on the design and stuff to where you want to place it. So, yes, it's really just a cover-up. And a cover-up isn't a cover-up. It's a camouflage.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's a disguise.
It's there.
Drawing attention to another part away from where you're covering it up at, right?
Most of the time, if you just go for straight cover up, you limit. I think you kind of limit yourself a bit because you're just relying on straight brute power.
Yeah.
But if you camouflage it, it's still there.
Yeah.
But you can't see it.
Right.
It's like looking at somebody hiding in a bush.
Yeah.
If you don't know they're there, you'll never see them. But when somebody points it out,
that's all you can see.
That's all you can see.
There's one in that one. Right there.
Little green army man.
Yeah, exactly. He's right here. If you haven't seen him, it just proves my point.
It's kind of like putting, you got a crack in the wall, so you put a painting in front of it.
We have
It's all about distraction.
Absolutely.
Do we have some other ones here?
Yeah, this was one Jimmy did. I turned sideways. I don't know.
Everybody turn your phone.
Turn your phone
after you lock the perspective, of course.
But yeah, she had mastectomy scars, and you.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
wow.
She
was the Phoenix.
She was cool, man, and what a
she was
trooper,
rad. She was a super cool lady.
She reminded me of the Terminator when she was getting tattooed.
Yeah.
I'd come in and I'd bounce in, kind of see what's going on. She'd look at me like, "Yep,
I'm a badass." Yep. And she tells me, like, after I almost finished with the tattoo, she's like, dude, I love going to the pool and being
Yeah.
like, I can take my shirt off and people are like, oh, she's like, I'm a badass. Like,
Yeah,
you
it's
are,
awesome.
dude. It's
Oh.
awesome.
Yeah, anybody who's tattooed or has one knows that
This
you're
one's
got to
one
be a
of my
badass to
favorites.
wear
That's
that.
the cutest thing ever.
Yeah.
Funny.
It's very rewarding.
Oh yeah, that's see exactly kind of working with and camouflaging. So you're looking right at it, but you don't even see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a
I think
lot
it's
more
awesome.
fun to do rather than just put enough coats over it, it'll be gone.
Yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
another good camouflage one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah, exactly.
little hedgehog
There you
over
are.
the-
Yep, working with
Yeah, yeah.
you're working with
Your
it,
textures.
and and in my opinion, if done right, you're way less likely to even see it
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
because it's not fighting the design; it kind of is the design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's smart.
That was
Very
really
well done.
Smart. He made it stand.
Yeah, see, there you
Oh, That's a
go.
great idea,
that's-
too.
Really, really cool.
Beautiful.
Great idea.
So I think it's
Yeah.
important that when you do go in for your consultation, that you come in with some ideas of what kind of design you have, and do kind of approach it in the same way.
Yeah.
Sit down and go, can you work this in? Can you do that?
Oh, that just reminded me of a story. There's this kid, and I don't know how it happened, but half his body was, we'll call it Freddy Kruegered. It was
Severely burned.
like
Probably
like his skin was at
second to
one
third
time
degree.
wet as putty, and someone took a
yeah.
like they were icing a cake and just swirled all down his side, right? And he wanted to get a sleeve. And he came in and did a consult with me, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to do something on this arm and da da da." And right or wrong, I looked at the guy and I go, "You're nuts." I go, "People pay me hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to make their arm look like that already.
Yeah.
Like, you're, dude, like you're kind of already there. That's the realest, coolest tattoo, you could have.
Yeah.
Like, and I could see it kind of click with him. Like, you're kind of right. Like, I've already got
Yeah.
this arm sleeved. Like, it is not like every other arm
Badge
already.
of honor,
In a
like
way,
it's-
yeah. And so, I said at most I would embellish what you have.
Yeah. Put some shade.
I would go in,
emphasize.
I would
That's awesome.
emphasize some stuff and just go with it and make it look like you've got this fucking mutant arm, wah, and just go with it. And he goes, yeah, you're kind of right. I gotta think about this a little more. He ended up getting his other arm tattooed and leaving that arm and being just as proud of that
That's
arm
awesome.
That's
as
so
he was
cool.
his other.
That's rad.
Because
So-
that's part of our job is helping you embrace who you are,
Well, yeah.
improve it,
Mm-hmm.
and how you present yourself to the world.
Right.
Totally.
And it's part of, okay, I know you want a raccoon,
Yeah.
but why? What are you trying to say with that raccoon? It's not necessarily that raccoon. So I knew he wanted, something that people, something different, because he didn't even know what he wanted. He just wanted a sleeve. I'm like, dude, you already got a sleeve on that arm, man. So yeah, it's just like a cover up. It's so individual.
Yeah.
And that really you got to get with somebody who's comfortable working on you, and you'll be able to tell, and who wants to go on that journey with you and make it something different. And you're only going to know that really by researching that artist and then finally going in, talking to him, laying down what your ideas are, and seeing if he's comfortable with it.
And you're going to click with the person or you're not.
Yeah, and that's that's half of the equation right
Yeah.
there. You have to be able to, those plugs got to be able to match. If no other plugs do, because like we all do, we work with people from every walk of life, every single
yes.
one, who maybe in a different situation wouldn't throw you a life preserver, but that at this situation doesn't matter. Let's get this tattoo to look as badass and as cool and hit the mark as much as we can, because that's all that's important.
You have shared goals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So come at it like that. Know that you're kind of in a different, a little bit niche, a different niche, and there are going to be artists that are very successful, but they're still not comfortable with that. That doesn't say anything about the artist, that other than they care about you getting a great tattoo and having it done really well, and they might have different ideas and different views on it. So, yeah. Keep in mind how long it's been there. You don't want to make it worse. you know.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's not something you can approach into a walk-in shop and go, yeah, I want
Yeah.
slash sheet number 16
yeah.
A.
Yeah,
Because
depending
they-
on how extensive the scars are, you know, it really ups the ante on it, and it crosses out a lot of names,
Yeah.
a lot of people that are able to get you what you want. So it might take a minute, you know, and looking around, and there are some people that specialize in doing that.
Yeah.
And if it's important to you and it is extensive, then it's going to be worth a plane ticket, you know.
Totally.
Turn it into a little vacay, go see, you know, that town where he's from, and go get tattooed. You know, I've done that. I've only really done that, well, a couple times with 2 different pieces. I've done that, and it's great. Not only do you have all the normal memories and effects that come with the tattoo, but you have that extra, you know, story and that
trip.
extra thing behind it, you know, and it can only kind of make it better and a better story at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
So yeah,
Yeah, there is such a thing as body art tourism.
Oh
I don't
sure.
think we've
Oh, yeah.
really ever even talked about that because I usually try, if it's going to be something I'm unsure if I'm going to be able to do, I'll usually be like, maybe you need to find somebody locally. But I have had clients that have came in specifically to get pierced by me because
Yeah.
they like my work.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that you guys have had people travel from outside
Yeah.
yeah.
the area to do that.
Yeah, super flattering.
And it's like, it's always kind of like, wow, I'm that good?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
kind of moment. But at the same
Right.
time, it's like, it is a thing that people
totally.
do. It's not just like, oh, we're here, let's go get a tattoo. It's like, there's a lot
Yeah,
of people out there
that's-
that travel for that.
That used to
kind
be a
of-
big pull of the conventions because, it was your chance that an artist that's on the other side of the world is going to be
gonna
in your
be in
town
your
and
town.
available for so many days. And
Yeah.
you want to get in and book that spot because it's your opportunity to get that.
Yeah.
From them.
Yep.
And it might be something that you have to go to a couple different consultations with a couple different tattoo artists until
Yeah.
you find the person that just clicks and has got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every time you shop for pants, you're not going to pick up every pair of pants and they're going to fit perfect every
No.
time you try them on. It takes a couple pair to find the one that fits you right.
That is a smart analogy, Mr. St. John.
Do you have some other examples you want to look at? I guess we should be telling the listening public, but
Okay, yeah, some more bad high school scars there, but man,
wow, they did a good
Nice
job of
cover.
putting that.
yeah,
Nice
pretty,
in there.
very, very pretty.
For those who are listening, this one it's a forearm. I'm assuming. I can't.
Yeah,
tell.
it's an
It looks like
inner
forearm.
forearm.
forearm with some self-harming horizontal scars, and then they put a flower bouquet over that.
Yeah.
and just kind of work those into the background.
And the thing you'll notice is it's not a saturated tattoo at all.
No.
There's a really good balance of open skin there with black, and it reads really good. And it reads so well that it overpowers that scar so well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's somebody who's skilled, who knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
and they're drawing your eye in the right spots and utilizing the negative space to keep it legible, even though it's really pretty detailed.
Yeah.
I'm only getting such a good look at it. But really, that was a
Beautiful
good
And I
job.
think that's the problem is a lot of people think it's going to be a limited thing, and it does not necessarily have to be.
No, and that's where the creativity comes.
Yeah.
With you kind of letting your artist get a little wacky and start spitballing a bit. Don't think he or she is nuts. It's just kind of you got if you're hungry, you got to get something out of the cupboard. It might not look good by itself, but that might lead to that we could make this, and that's kind of what I think went on there, and they did a good
Absolutely.
job.
That one, I don't have a before.
You don't know.
Whoa, that's a
lot of
blackout,
black.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an arm as well.
I wonder if the scars will show through that, though.
They could.
That's
In a certain light, probably.
That's exactly what I'm saying with the work with the scars, not just brute power the scars.
Yeah.
Because yes, the worst cover up is just solid black.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to prove that point, paint something on your wall in black, anything, and then paint the wall black. Paint it 10 times.
You'll still see it.
There's still 11 coats on that first design
Mm-hmm.
and 10 coats on everything else.
Yep.
So I took a Guy Atchison seminar early in my career. Thank God, it really did change the way I tattooed, and it was great. And if you haven't heard of Reinventing the Tattoo or Guy Atchison, and you're a tattoo artist or want to be, he's one person out of many, though, but one person you really should focus on because he's very passionate. He's very, very knowledgeable, and he thinks outside the box. He doesn't trap himself in these traditions. He tries everything and then uses what works, and he's willing to tell you. He's a great guy. So, but that's cool. One thing he said is he threw up some pictures, and we were talking cover-ups, and he threw up this big tribally heavy black thing. And at first, you were like, okay, that covered it. Mm-hmm. And then he goes, but you can obviously tell there was a lion under it. And right as he said that, like everybody in the room was like, yep. Whoa! It just popped right through. Yeah. So if there's any type of scarring, which if you're covering a tattoo, half the time it is scarred because it wasn't applied correctly and they overworked the skin and all that. So all you're doing is highlighting. Like, if you ever owned a black car?
Yeah.
You ever try to keep it clean?
Yeah, it's awful.
You can't. Yeah. You can't keep a black car clean. It's kind of the same thing. Using just big solid fields to cover something. There's already one more layer there than anywhere else, and it's gonna just pop. Yep. It just does,
Plus, your skin's gonna get dry. It's gonna be moist. You're gonna see different texture. And that makes a huge difference. And I don't think most people comprehend that until they have something that's like that.
Yeah,
right.
When I'm talking to some customers like that, I do a lot of cover-ups. Like I had a lady the other day. She's got something she wants to cover up. And I was like, well, flowers and stuff, if you don't want to do animals, are really good. And she's like, so we're going to just put like a rose or whatever flower over it? I'm like, well, not exactly. And I got on my iPad and I showed her like, all right, this is where I'm covering this up here. Well, I put the rose or the flower around it, and then between it where it's that black space in the background or where the foliage of the leaves come in, where they're dark and green or heavier, that's where the cover-up's at. So your eyes pulled to this other spot where the cover-up isn't even going on, because it's been camouflaged now.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to go directly on what you're hiding and go right on top of it.
Distraction.
Because all you're doing is taking my eye right to where I don't want you to go.
Might as well point an arrow.
Yeah, you might as well put neon signs on it. Here's where it was,
Yeah.
Right.
And once like she could see it on the iPad, she was like, oh, I get it. And I'm like, and then you can do all this really beautiful stuff. And now, like, you don't even know that one thing that you didn't like's there. It's gone.
Yeah, and and using texture and flow and working kind of with the cover-up rather than just brute power to smash it over is going to be way more successful, in my opinion, of a cover-up than just going, oh, yeah, bam, and we'll kill it.
Stamp it.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
It's more fun, I think, for the artist, and you get, it throws a little curveball in it. And as long as you're willing enough and open-minded enough and can relinquish power a little bit and open your mind and realize you're not starting with a clean canvas.
No.
You brought me in a canvas that somebody else painted on and went, yeah, but I want the Mona Lisa on this. Mm-hmm. Well, I wish I could give you the Mona Lisa, but you already have a 57 Chevy shooting flames out the tailpipe with a Grim Reaper and a big shifter popping out of the top of it.
Right.
And it's not practical,
Yeah, you're a little limited.
Yeah. Well, that makes me wonder, because I don't know why this came to mind at this moment, but there's a lot of masterpieces where they went and they painted over it and then painted on top of, like they made a mistake.
Yeah.
There's a lot of famous paintings that have other paintings.
I wonder if they had to take that in, even the masters had to take that into account.
With paints?
Because I'm sure some of it would have.
No, they don't.
Okay.
If they're so opaque, and that's the thing where people kind of get confused with cover-ups. It's not like paint.
No.
The way I describe it is like if you had a small cup and it was filled with blue.
Yeah.
Okay, just a medium blue. And you don't want blue anymore. You want yellow. It's just green? Like pouring yellow into that cup and trying to turn that blue yellow. Okay. So can you turn yellow to blue? Greenish blue, depending. Yeah. But you kind of can. Can you turn yellow into red? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It'll be, if I did red across the yellow and kept going, it's going to be a bit different. But if it's mainly that and you got some texture going on, you're never going to know, I can cover yellow with red.
Yeah.
So, there's these little caveats and these little rules that you kind of have to live by somewhat. to make it successful.
Yeah.
So that's why the scar, the placement, how much room do I have around it? I still need to make it flow, and it's right in the dab smash part of the focal point of the area I'm given to work with. So I'm going to have to be extra creative there because I don't want the focal point right where the cover up is. You know, if you can use
like an animal and use texture of fur, if you can do like a fish with scales or a dragon with scales or
something nature driven, it's probably a better option,
right? Organic.
So it breaks up
car,
it breaks up what you're hiding.
Yeah, a car, there's a car shape. Everybody knows the car shape.
Yeah, straight lines.
You have to stick with that. And the same thing with lettering, I would think, to a degree. I guess you could do some flow, but using nature.
Yeah,
or
organic.
Organic is the best thing to cover it with.
Yeah. It's weird. You know, there was this chunk of time there where most people, it seemed, that would come in, need something covered up. I want a cross.
Yeah.
Will that cross cover that up?
Nope.
No. That's one of the worst things you could imagine to cover anything. One, you're covering only what the width of the cross is in north, south, east, west. Anything else outside of that, we still got work to do. And on top of that, and depending on the cover up, of course, there's no hiding spots in the middle of a cross.
We need to go back to the square peg, triangle hole.
Kinda,
quiz.
I want a triangle, but you got a circle. But I want a triangle.
And I think maybe it's because people look at it and go, "Oh, it's a flat thing that'll cover up that name."
Oh yeah,
but it's not that simple.
But it's not because if you have a name and overall it's this wide, well, if the first letter's that wide, then the whole thing might as well be that wide if you're trying to cover it with a cross,
right?
Because that chunk. I can't just make a leaf and kind of embellish it out and put some little fuck around it to cover it up.
Right.
I am stuck because if I change that, that's not going to be a cross anymore.
No.
So it's, something organic that has some flow that I have the ability to add a petal to or a leaf to or some vines or a rock or a tree or, some fluff off of a bear's arm or, something that can be 100 different ways and it looks right. Is way better to use. So a lot of times what I would do is I would suggest something organic to go with the cross.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want a cross there, we can do a cross there, but it ain't going to help us with the cover up.
Some other stuff.
Right. So, it would turn into what would be around to, the supporting actor for the cross would do the heavy lifting, which is what you kind of want because the cross is the focal point anyway.
Yeah.
So, but, it's a way of the realm we're in, the tools we have to work with, and the possibilities we have to operate in, and what you want and what you have to cover. We have to make a dish that tastes so good out of those three ingredients, and they're always a little different.
Yep.
So
my favorite thing used to be, can you cover a word with a word? I'm like, no.
Right.
Have you ever wrote over top of somebody's writing on a piece of paper? Looks like crap, right?
Yeah, it makes you want to
go back and correct it.
It makes you want to write your name on a piece of paper and a pen, and turn the paper towards them, hand the pen, and go cover that with Beth.
Yeah. I'll write my name. You write your name, and see which one sticks out. None.
Right? No, you can't. You can't cover a letter A with a W.
No,
you can't.
No,
unless the W is this big and the is like so that's I think part of what makes tattooing and being a tattoo artist so exciting and different is you are giving these strict rules kind of that you have to operate within, and it's finding ways to bend and work around those rules and trick those rules into doing what you want anyway.
Them a little bit,
and add in but this has to be gone.
Yeah.
It's.
I want to distract from the scar in the middle of my forearm.
Not only does it have to flow, does it have to fit, does it have to look beautiful, does it have to last, but it's got a cover up involved there, and it's bumping up. It's
another nuance.
Right.
Like, I got this tribal on my arm, and now I want Jesus. Well, how do you feel about baby Jesus in a manger?
Right.
Because there's ways to make stuff work, but you gotta be in your realm.
But and the great thing.
Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead, Brent.
You really have to have realistic expectations. Like if you give a artist say 2 references and you really, really like reference A, B, you're okay with it, but you're really, really into A. The artist says B would definitely be the best choice, even though it isn't exactly the ideal thing, go with the artist and their opinion on this, because they're going to work towards their strengths and their, what they think would cover best.
Right.
And so, I mean, and even if there's like a C option that maybe the artist suggests, that would be worth considering for sure, because we want to give you the best cover of scar tissue or a regular cover up that we can do. And I mean,
and it comes down to the client going, all right, I respect that opinion, I understand, but that doesn't mean you can't go talk to some other artists.
Right.
Because there's been times that people have come to me and said, man, I've talked to, several people and they all say, no, can't do it, da. And I'll look at it and go, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I do that.
Everybody sees stuff differently.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that comes from what they feel, how strongly they feel that they can hit the bullseye of what you want. And a lot of times, or, there are times when we can't, but if we can convey to you why that bullseye doesn't make sense with what you're wanting to do, and educate you on that, and you understand, and you're willing to go, okay, I trust this guy. He seems to know what he's doing, and that does kind of make sense. Well, then you've got that, you've got that knowledge to kind of build on. But go talk to some other artists.
Yeah.
But don't, you've got to understand that you're kind of handing the artist a little, it's out of the ordinary, and some artists are going to be more comfortable with that type of thing, and some aren't.
And after you've got a piece that you're needing to cover up, or it's got some limitations to it, and you have a consult with an artist and they've kind of opened your eyes and showed you what you can do and like your realm, when you've settled on something, now I know your juices are flowing. When you go home for the next 2 weeks before your appointment and you dive into a rabbit hole on Google and you see all these wonderful designs that you've been opened up to, be careful, because you can't just go, oh, well, I decided while I was on the computer for 2 weeks, that thing we talked about, I want to do this over here now. It's just a small change, but sometimes those small changes aren't in the realm of what we talked about doing with what you're wanting to accomplish.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the subject matter in a cover-up of any type is important. Say you have a scenery, it's a city street, and there's buildings, and you have a snowman it's sitting in the middle of the street, and there's a cover-up there. Or we'll just say a Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
There's a cover-up there. And then you're like, you know what? I'd rather have a snowman. It's no big deal. Just switch out well, a snowman's not going to cover the same way and work the same way as a Grim Reaper would.
Right.
No.
So yeah, it's just to swap this out for that. But
well, we were going to do flowers, but I thought maybe a mandala.
But exactly.
The mandala won't cover what the flowers was going to cover.
Yeah, and I hope now that it's easier to understand why that is, a bigger change than just going, oh, it's just this, because it's not like painting a wall. It's not just going over it. You can't just start over, do skin tone, smash it out. There's going to be those.
And with the case of scars, you can't just go put some spackle and.
Yeah, you can't just fill it in with some carpenter's
No,
friend.
you run the risk of basically just making it more pronounced.
Yeah.
And that's just not cool.
Yeah. And, it's really up to you what you're willing to, I guess, go through as far as payment, as far as putting up with an artist that can do the work but he's a dick, or or dealing with an artist because they're a great person but they'll probably do okay because at least it's gone. Everybody's got their own what weighs more and what really the goal is, and the trick for the artist is to figure that out. Like I can tell they just don't like Beth anymore and they just want it gone. They're not so much interested in, having this bear, be in this spot, So it's some give and take on both sides, like everything else, I guess. But
I had that happen. A guy was like, I got to cover this up. He had a big black cross with some like equal lines with it. He wanted it covered up. He didn't want any animals. He didn't want any flowers. He didn't like pretty much everything you'd use to cover. He was like, I don't want any of that. I'm like, okay. So we finally came up on like a mountain scene with like silhouetted trees and forest and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, cool. And he was like, yeah, that's awesome. It's great. And we start tattooing it, and like, it's a lot of black in silhouette stuff and breaking up nuances here and there. And then like we got about halfway into it, and he's like, God, this is taking forever and it's a lot of work. And I'm like, well, you didn't want to use any of the things that wouldn't have been as much work. and would have covered up easier and faster. You specifically said you didn't want any of those things.
Right.
So you tied my hands and I'm still swimming. You can't
Yeah.
gripe about how we're swimming.
Right. Yeah. Realize that you're only sitting there under your own power.
Yeah.
You know, we it's illegal for us to tie you or restrain you. It's kidnapping, and that gets heavy, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, I'm still on paper.
All right.
Anyway,
other ones.
Right, but understand that the artist wants to make you happy.
Oh, wow.
And, wow. She looks like she had like an apparatus stuck into her leg to rebuild her leg, like she had a terrible break.
Yeah, it looks like some surgery scars on the
Yeah.
outside of the outer thigh.
Yeah.
And they did beautiful combination of just
It's gorgeous.
It's a
black
floral
and
piece again.
Yeah.
And part of the reason is, one, everybody loves floral. They're not going to offend anyone with floral. And two, it's so organic and easy to nudge and move around and add a leaf and
it still
follow
looks
the
natural.
contour of this to knock it out. It really, they're great. Organic floral bouquet type stuff is great for cover-ups.
Especially in this situation where it seems like there was some depth, like indentation of the scars.
Yep.
And they used it perfectly with like the center of the flowers.
The flowers,
Yeah, it's
because you want to
gorgeous.
push that back anyway. It's already pushed back organically, so that's what I mean by working with it and making the tattoo even kind of cooler than it really could have been.
Yeah,
And
if you just saw the leg tattooed, you would never knew it looked like before.
Right.
Yeah, that's really
Never.
good.
That's the idea.
Because
Yep, it's
obviously it
gorgeous.
was some type of metal bar they had in there or something.
Right, like
Yeah,
supporting the
reconstructed.
bone.
Which
and
is
then-
perfectly straight. And then they even took the extra time to kind of make that curvature to
Yep.
draw even further away
Absolutely, because that not only does that hide the actual physical scar, it breaks up that line that the scars make and
Right.
makes your eye go off of that line, so it
Creates
makes it
motion.
disappear even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, great job.
Beautiful tattoo.
This one's really cool.
from them. Oh, is that a brand?
No, I think she had a stomach surgery.
Oh,
Okay.
it's her
What it
belly.
looks like.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like a U shape.
Oh
like an
yeah,
eye.
she had a pretty nasty.
No,
something.
do those trail upward? That might be she had a cavity.
It was a 45 degree. It's a 45 degree angle there on the right side of her navel.
Yeah, so that might have been open heart.
Well, yeah, and that's tricky. Their heart's not down there. That looks almost like a Y incision. Yeah.
Y incision.
Almost like an autopsy.
Well,
Yeah.
couldn't that have been a cesarean type of
Yeah, it could
situation?
be a cesarean.
No.
Like in Mexico in the low rent neighborhood.
Who
or
knows?
something?
Something went wrong.
I love Mexico,
The
by the
person
way.
had surgery.
It's a beautiful tattoo
But-
over it, though.
Yeah, that linear type of deep, discolored scar, it can be tricky. But
That's some beautiful
Yeah.
colors. in that.
but you see how the texture does all the heavy lifting.
Yes.
Your eye is jumping around from all these blues that fall back and the reds and yellows that kind of pop up, and
Oranges.
your eye is almost unable to find that scar anymore.
Yeah,
And that's way more effective than let's just smash it over with black.
right.
Yeah, it's very.
You're going to see that scar 10 times more often if you just smashed it with black than you would with
Yeah.
something like that.
Here's another one.
a peacock.
Right there.
It's peacock feather covering up
yeah.
that scar.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's
That's nice.
yeah, that's a great idea. Again, it works with the scar.
Yep.
Follows the so that your eye falls into the feather way before it would fall into the scar.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really nice job.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nicely done.
Yep. That's using the fundamentals of cover up right there.
A turtle.
That's cute.
It
Oh,
worked out
see,
well.
that's
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's
Wow.
smart.
Yep.
It is.
Yeah, instead of going, well, we'll just smash the shit out of it. Well, it's already a scar, bro. And it's he's had skin from somewhere else on his body put there.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
always
graft.
weird. Tattoo long enough and you'll come across, what are they, skin grafts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, they worked right along with that. And you'd never know.
Nope.
No.
Perfect.
I want to know how you guys.
And
feel
it's
about
minimal.
this one.
I don't know, I've seen a wolf in like
It's
a
bird.
Nordic key or a
Yeah.
compass.
I can't really see this.
And there's terrible
Scar.
scarring on the forearm, like a
Yeah.
self-induced scarring. Yeah, it looks okay, at least from the
From here,
perspective I'm getting,
yeah.
which isn't incredible, but it looks like the scarring is keloided quite a bit, especially towards the top.
Yeah.
So, from the looks of the tattoo, it looks like it did a good job, but I'm wondering after it's healed and stuff, how much that thick,
Hold
heavy
up.
raised scar running right through the. I think it's like a wolf or something up top.
It's a bird. I think it's.
Oh, it's a bird.
Up
Oh,
top?
You got just for the watching audience, we have a very bright
a little
light.
monitor and
and
then
the
light in our
monitors
eyes,
behind it.
I
So
do
that's
like-
why everybody's like,
yeah,
I do like the texture in the bird on the bottom of the compass with the scarring
yeah.
Yeah.
texture. That looks good.
yeah.
It all looks good. It's hard for me to see with the lights.
Yeah, depending on how raised up those scars are and how it lays through that bird up top. That's great.
Yeah.
You know,
Nice
you're
tattoo.
instantly drawn right into the center of that
Yep.
compass, and then your eyes start wandering around, and
And it looks clean.
you don't. Yeah, I mean that's and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't look all heavy and overworked like it's
Right.
you know, you're trying to distract or cover up something. Whoa, what is that a tummy again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stomach, and it looks like they put
An angel.
over it.
With an angel over it.
Yeah.
It covers it well.
Wow, look at that. She had a tube or something in
Yeah.
on the right side.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's
That would be from.
drainage tube of some sort, maybe.
Yeah, it could have been. You should-
Feeding tube maybe or
You
something.
know, maybe
Well,
it was
no,
a flesh
colostomy.
reduction scar. Maybe they were overweight. It almost seems like they were kind of overweight and then they got in shape, and it's one of those reduction kind of surgeries.
Maybe.
It was either that or they had a drainage tube for
Yeah,
cancer,
and for that you'd need a drainage tube.
for chemo.
Yep, that could be
Yep.
too. But yeah,
There's a term for it, and I don't know.
do they cut you open and stuff for chemo?
If you put a
Well,
port in.
they put a port in. It depends on. I'm not that.
I guess
familiar with
that's-
the treatment.
I guess
but
they
that's
could.
what I'm guessing.
Anyway,
it
about the
was.
tattoo, I suppose.
Yeah.
Before we're diagnosing this lady, yeah, I guess that looks pretty good. The texture, you know, plenty of texture in there, and but yeah, you see how there's kind of two major defects, you know, up towards the top that where we assume like a drainage tube is, and then at the top of the scar above her navel, and you know, looking at the tattoo, at least from my perspective, I think they did a really good job.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, I think they did really good. It looks like that top part to the right of the tattoo, that kind of swoops around that top scar right above her navel, like the one that's right above. Yeah, that
I got to stop looking up
that
there. The
works
lights are
good.
killing me.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh wow,
Yeah, that one turned out great.
It's like a
spinal bifida or a
yeah,
spinal
yeah.
surgery
Curve.
somehow.
yeah, where they fixed the spine,
Man, and that's
sclerosis or whatever.
that's a scar.
Yeah.
Like right below
That's
that
deep.
center of that scar is her frickin' spine.
Yeah.
That's
They did a good job.
yeah. I mean, that's a good job. And again, it's texture. It's busy enough. That flows great. It doesn't look awkward. Like oh, why is there this kind of dark thing off to the side? You know,
Yeah.
it's proportionate and yeah, good job.
These turned out cute. They're just adding to the scar.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
With the
Yeah,
zipper.
the zipper. Yep, that's awesome. That's a perfect scar too. Oh, that's fun.
That's neat.
Is there a scar involved there?
Yeah, it's where the.
It's right on top of where the.
Yep.
So it's raised up, so it almost has a 3D effect.
Cool. See, that's brilliant.
That's very, very clever.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Very.
Yeah, and that's having a client who's flexible minded and willing to, you know, do something like that.
This one, it just goes around it.
Yeah.
So the scars down the spine and the flowers just kind of go around the scar.
Accident.
Okay.
Oh, she's got a scar down her spine then. And that just kind of weaves around.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think so. I'm getting
cool.
spots. I can't see it very well.
I know, Jimmy. It's so bad. We'll give you a massage after.
I just can't see anymore. It's
Nobody's asking you to
Oh wow.
take a nap.
Really good.
Wow. Is she trying to cover up her tits?
No, she's
No,
covering up. She has no nipples.
She doesn't have nipples.
Yeah, she's dimple.
And she's had the mastectomy, so it's covering the scars at the bottom of the mastectomy and the fact that she has no nipples. So
Yeah.
it just looks like a bathing suit top.
Yeah.
Very
It
pretty.
does.
Interesting.
That you know what? There needs to be a drop shadow on that, so it does look like a floral.
Yeah.
top.
That's
You know,
awesome.
if
That'd
there
be
was
cool.
a sharp kind of, you know, drop shadow underneath and kind of like a 40% gray, just brushing
Pop
up the
it off
top
the
like
skin a
it's
little.
just kind of laying open.
Yeah.
But yeah, nice job. But you know, I could have tattooed nipples on you. Would have been quicker.
All right, now that we've all stared at the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some really nice examples there,
Right.
man.
Yeah.
I like seeing that.
So, I mean, basically, we kind of came up with some things. Yes, it is possible. It depends on the scar. It depends on the damage that was done. It might be better to work around it and distract to it and treat it kind of like a cover-up. And trust your artist or find an artist you can trust.
Boom.
Absolutely.
That couldn't have been said better. That last
Yeah.
part was spot
Well done.
on.
I think we killed this one.
I like that.
Yeah.
Trust your artist or find an artist you can trust.
That's right.
And,
That's
you know,
Awesome.
and there might be,
Tagline.
and there's usually more than one of them.
Oh, yeah.
And,
But
Oh, yeah.
geography's rough and walking takes some time.
yeah.
So, you know,
Takes some
but
time.
but if you have the means, it's
By all
a
means.
tattoo is the best excuse to travel.
Absolutely.
The best
Yes.
excuse to go, oh, I'm going to Barbados, you know? It's my body. They last forever.
Yeah.
Okay? It's the big deal.
Well, they last as long as you do.
Right.
Yeah.
I remind them of that. No, it just
Nobody can
lasts
take
until
them
you
away from
die,
you.
and that's not forever unless you're a fucking vampire. But yeah, that's semantics.
Well, I think we did this one pretty well. If you like this, give us a like. Share with other people because it's good to share. Let us know that you liked it because we like it when you like it.
Unless you have chlamydia. Don't share.
Yeah,
Yeah, some stuff shouldn't be shared.
Hepatitis,
Herpes,
your musical taste.
Yeah,
Your
Dave.
musical taste.
Your beautiful tape.
Yeah. Anyway, check out our merch store. Links in the description. Till next time, here's hoping all your tattoos and piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, we would all love to see you for your tattooing and body piercing needs in the future. See you in the next episode.